in philosophy today, at the leading edges of philosophy, right, where I know most people don't read, there's a few of us weird in the world who are writing and reading at that crazy edge. There's what they call today the ontological turn, right? It's barely in the literature. You won't really find it anyplace. But the ontological turn, meaning there's a realization growing from different quarters, and we're central. We're central in that ontological turn. I think that we're actually one of the most important voices in the world. And I want to say it audaciously. I don't know of a place in the world that's articulating a more coherent and better and more critical story based on first values. So we're central in this, and we're privileged to be, right? And we're responsible to it. But it's part of a larger movement, this ontological turn, which is this realization that the deconstructions of postmodernity went too far, right? Right? It's not just that we're present to the movement. I think we're at the center, we're the beating heartthrob, and we're actually rippling out, right, into this movement, right? And we're moving this in reality. And people like Alfred North Whitehead were part of it, and people like Charles Sanders Peirce were beginning it, and my partner in evolutionary, beloved partner, wholemate Barbara Marx Hubbard was a deep partner in it, and my dear friend Ken Wilber is part of this conversation, right, in a real way, but it's a critical conversation, right? We've got to actually revision the cosmos. And the cosmos is much wilder and more wondrous and more magical, right, and more real, right, than we thought it was. And we actually abandoned the cosmos, and we reduced the cosmos to a particular story, which is we are material beings that are over when we die, and all the other stuff is just kind of fringe stuff. We're the only beings, intelligent beings in the cosmos. The only way we can talk to each other, right, is through very limited physical ways. We've dethroned the notion of an infused creative divinity in cosmos. We're by ourselves, a lonely speck in the world. And I want you to know who was the greatest exponent of this, and he did it beautifully. He was just dead wrong, was Carl Sagan. How many people have heard of Carl Sagan? Carl Sagan, Cosmos. Carl was a wonderful man. Carl is the best exemplification of the attempt at dignity within the position I just articulated. And it's a cosmos that's ultimately empty. We're an irrelevant speck of dust, right, in this 100 billion galaxies or even multiverse, right? The notion that we would ascribe any sort of ultimate meaning, right, to what we're doing is absurd, an act of hubris that we need to move beyond. And of course, Sagan is moving directly out of existentialism, but that movement, that actually infuses landmark in the form, right? Meaning is not real, it's just what you create. No, that's not true. Meaning is real. And we actually can talk to each other across cosmos, right? I have a friend, a young man in Belgium, right? I won't say his name. He's 12 years old. And I'm talking to him every couple of weeks these days, right? And I can feel him across the world when he's having a good week. Why? Why can I feel him? With no communication. Because there are invisible lines of connection every place. It's a wild cosmo-erotic universe, all the way up and all the way down. And actually articulating this new story, knowing our place in this new story, actually begins to be the refashioning of the world. And I want to give you just one example. Why is Donald Trump the president of the United States? Okay, and I'm not going to take issue on conservative or liberal issues. I happen to be a traditional neoconservative on a number of issues, and an ultra-liberal on other issues. And anyone who tells you they're a conservative or a liberal on one side or the other has stopped thinking. You actually have to look at each position carefully and integrate a larger and more interesting position and not parrot old positions. It's actually knowing how to gather information is a different conversation. However, I think tragically today, I think we can all pretty much agree across the spectrum, is that Donald Trump is tragic. He's a tragic figure, right? Problems don't begin with him. The breakdown of America didn't begin with him, right? Our real issues don't begin with him. It's kind of like the Donald Trump, Osama bin Laden. We have someone to kill, right? No, that's not true. The structural issues, the second shock of existence, catastrophic risk, existential risk, right? All of that's got nothing to do with Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is an expression of a broken system. He shouldn't be president. in terms of leadership, integrity, ethos, values. How did Donald Trump become president? I want to follow this, okay? Right? How did that happen? It didn't happen because bad people voted for him. It didn't happen because, oh, the Russians meddled. That's not why it happened. It happened because the liberal media was in the red, and Barack Obama himself pointed to this, right, obliquely at the last White House dinner. The liberal media, CNN, for example, right, CNN covered Donald Trump insanely. The liberal media in general, the print and the electronic media, was in the red. Donald Trump generated ratings. He generated ratings. Stay close, friends. So CNN covered him incessantly because he actually took CNN from being a loser to a winner. Right? They were in debt. They were about to break, right? And he put them from in the red to in the black. So CNN made a decision, right? They made a decision. And their decision was the win-lose metrics of our success story, right, is more important than the larger good. I want everybody to get that. It's not just that CNN made that decision. The liberal media, up and down, and again, I'm a huge liberal on so many issues, but made a decision. And that decision of the win-lose metrics up and down the system of the media, as Barack Obama himself pointed to, actually elected Donald Trump president. It's such a big deal. You got to get it. In other words, the way our system works, and Barbara and I have talked about this together for the last 10, 20 years, right? The win-lose system. Every department's win-lose. You got to be a success. To be a success means you win. Someone else loses. It's evaluated, right, by a metrics. The metrics is status, right, financial gain, commodification. And everyone's playing in that system one way or the other, whether it's spiritual teachers who are commodifying spirit and selling it, right? Whether it's corporations, whether it's individuals, whether it's, let's get this, NGOs, liberal NGOs. It's not a conservative liberal issue. That's not the issue. That's a huge mistake. That's the polarization, right, of reality. It's not about that. Right? There's fabulous conservatives in America. George Will, Charles Krauthammer. Right? There's fabulous, gorgeous conservative thinkers all across America. And there's fabulous liberal thinkers. That's not the issue. The issue is it's a broken system. The system, it's a win-lose metrics all the way up and all the way down, rooted in a separate self and a materialist, dogmatic, implicit assumption, right, of the cosmos. Now, what Trump does, right, is he makes absurd, right, he exemplifies to an absurd, grotesque sense this notion of win or loser. So he'll even say, right, veterans of a war, well, those guys are losers. Why'd they fight? But you got to understand, Trump is actually a gross expression, right, of the deeper structure of the system itself. Right? That's what he is. The system generated Trump, not a couple of crazy villains in Russia, right, who obviously, right, did some bad stuff, right, and not a bunch of crazy bad rednecks in America, the bad people, right? Hillary Clinton's terrible phrase, the basket of deplorables, disastrous phrase, horrible. That's another us-them phrase. That's not what happened is a broken system, not a conspiracy theory, but a broken system and a broken story, right? Actually elected Donald Trump as an expression of all that's broken in the story. So do we need, for example, in the United States, and I know many of you are around the world, but do we need around the world to replace Donald Trump as president? Yes, we do. Am I making sure to register to vote for Joe Biden? Yes, I am. Of course I am, right? Because that's obviously necessary. But that's not going to get us home, friends. It won't. It won't get us home. The only thing that's going to get us home is going to be articulate, right, a new story of cosmos that lives in us, where I actually begin to know. I begin, my friend Joyce, most awesome one, I begin to feel it in my body, right? The cosmo-erotic universe is alive in me, in person. Evolution lives in me in person. The deepest heart's desire of the infinity of power and intimacy that generated the Big Bang is alive in me. I have one question I ask. What does reality need from me in the very next moment? That's the only thing I've got to ask. That's the only question. right? What is the deepest heart's desire of all cosmos, uniquely configured as me in my unique configuration of intimacy, desire, and consciousness? What does reality need as me? What's the next comment reality wants me to make in the chat box? How am I standing, right? For goodness, for truth, for justice, for beauty, right? How am I alive, right? As the eros of the cosmos flowing through me, right? Completely, madly committed, right? To creating a better world in every place I can do in my unique circle and intimacy and influence, beginning with, wow, many paths, one mountain. This revolution, that's our revolution. How do I make it mine? How do I step up, right? How do I say, oh my God, right? This is our gospel. This is the new gospel. And the new gospel is us, right? The gospel is the good news. And the good news is the new story, right? And how do I actually step into that story, become a teller of that story? How is my voice imprinted, right, in the noosphere, right? Wow. How do I make this revolution mine? Okay, that's what the whole thing's about. Everything else is a detail, right? Everything else doesn't matter, right? We're between utopia and dystopia.